The history of the Port of Hamburg, fascinating and exciting. But you might not know that our port hasn't always been located on the Elbe River. It was originally founded on the Alster and developed there. And Hamburg's first port facilities were on the Alster, not on the Elbe. Let's find out more in a new episode of Port is What We Do. We meet Daniel Jahn, the HPA's historian, in the Hamburg Museum, to start our journey through the port.
The Port of Hamburg has a very long and very impressive history. The Port of Hamburg celebrated its official birth more than 830 years ago.
Our first stop takes us to a replica of what's known as a Kogge, where, besides Störtebecker's skull, you can see a model of the port from the 15th century. You can see how the crane worked, still using pulley wheels operated by people, and next to it the public scales, the open court building and the town hall, all at the Nikolaifleet, where today you'll find the old Commerzbank building. Later we'll show you how it looks today. Unfortunately, the exchange from 1583 is no longer there. It was destroyed in the Great Fire of 1842. And here it is, live and in colour, Hamburg's first port on the Alster. Port is what we do, and that's exactly what they did here on this spot 1,000 years ago at the Nikolaifleet on the Alster, where today Willy Brandt-Straße and Domstraße intersect. This was the location of Hamburg's first port, with the court building, the public scales and public crane. I'm standing where the old exchange would have been. This was the economic heart of the city. It really was the first port in the city of Hamburg. Back in the museum, Daniel Jahn takes us to the next model. Once located in the heart of the city, the port then moved over to the Elbe. This is where the first Elba Port was established, at the confluence of the Alster and Elbe. The Nikolaifleet had become too small as ships got bigger and bigger. And here, at the site of the first Elba Port, unlike the Alster Port, you can see that it still welcomes a lot of small boats. The port you see behind me really was Hamburg's first Elba Port. The Alster Port had a connection to the Nikolaifleet, which used to be the main channel flowing into the Elbe. Today it's the Alster Fleet, which flows into the Elbe right next to me. Then it was extended, as you can see here, with what would become the lower port. Both port facilities were protected by a double row of logs driven into the Elbe with only a small entrance. It was closed at night by a floating log secured by a chain. And that's why it was known as the Baumwall, the log wall. This area is still known as the Baumwall today, and the underground station bears its name too. The lower port was established from the 15th century and was expanded in about 1700 with a row of piles. There were 3 rows of piles where ships could be made fast and then their cargoes unloaded from the river. And the lower harbour, together with the inland harbour we just saw, were Hamburg's only port facilities for hundreds of years, until 1866, when the Zandtor port was built. The Port of Hamburg's history is very impressive. And we'll see how the port continued to conquer the Elbe and again was able to survive major crises in the next edition of
Port is What We Do.